everybody. I'm so happy you're here. Because otherwise it'd just be me telling stories to nobody, which is dumb. My name is Raine, and I ain't afraid of no ghosts. As I am now a grown man, and as my grandfather is gone, as I have no real belief in any sort of sentient God, and since I'm mostly science-minded, the supernatural does not tend to scare me. What does scare me is being on the 21st floor of One Financial Plaza the summer of '98 when the funnel cloud came through downtown Minneapolis and the building swayed so violently that the blinds were actually slapping against the window. That's scary, because we can prove that, as evidenced by all the blown-out Skyway windows the following morning. But any movie like, say, The Exorcist, where the devil's gonna get you, I can't be afraid of that. For me to be able to fear that, I would have to believe in the opposite. And ghosts, there's just no science behind it. I believe there's energy, residual energy that may hang around, but Jacob Marley, or some sentient sort of ghost, I can't believe that. You know, as I said, I'm a grown-ass man. But kids, on the other hand, little kids, it's a whole nother plate of beats. We hear this factoid all the time that once you hit 25, it's more difficult for us to pick up a language. And you know, I believe that because there is science that proves that. And little kids are amazing because their minds they're open and they're recording and they're just absorbing everything and accepting everything as though that's the way that things are supposed to be. I was reading an article recently that was talking about how it's much more difficult for a 10-year-old to lose a parent than it is for a 3, 4, or even 5-year-old. And I was about that age when I saw something that I have never been able to really put straight. But at that age, ghosts were everywhere, because I had a grandfather who loved ghost stories. I grew up in Otter Tail County on a lake in central Minnesota, and in that area, if you ask anyone from Otter Tail County, they can tell you what the pig farm is. In the late 1800s, a man decided it would be the right thing to do to murder his wife and his teenage daughter, then chop them up and feed them to the pigs. Now it's notorious. Everybody knows the pig farm. It's so notorious that even our local brewery has named the stout the Pig Farm Stout. But as I said, I grew up on a lake, and in the summers, we would have these bonfires, and we would invite all the neighbor kids over, and my grandfather would show up, and he would tell these ghost stories. And you couldn't believe all of them, but he told this one about the pig farm, and I want to share it with you just in case you have nieces or nephews or grandchildren that you absolutely hate. Tell them this one. He'd say, "Oh, kids, when I was your age, they dared me and my buddies to spend the night in the pig farm, and we made some sandwiches, we took our blankets, and it was dark when we got there. And we got to the door, and we opened it, and the wind was blowing. You walk through the dining room, and that's how you get to the living room. Once you get in the living room, that's when you see the staircase. Now, there are 8 steps on this staircase. It's an old house. They're narrow, and it's very steep. It's practically a ladder. And we climbed up the stairs, and we settled in, and I spread my blanket out, and oh, the wind was blowing. I could hear my bones rattling. It was so cold, and that's when we heard it. The front door opened. Then we heard it coming across the dining room floor. We heard it pass through the living room, and then we heard it touch the first step, and then it spoke. Now I'm on the first step. Now I'm on the second step. Now I'm on the third step. Oh, jeez. I knew we were goners. We were gonna die. I just knew it. Now I'm on the 5th step. Now I'm on the 6th step. Oh, only 3 steps to go. Now I'm on the 7th step. And now I'm here and I gotcha! And then we would all scream and laugh, and sorry, I scared myself a little. But I gotta tell you, I never believed it, because even then, at that age, I said, "Grandpa, that story can't be true, because if the pig farm monster got you, how could you be here to tell the tale?" Even then, I was needing the science. But these moments of terror seem to be the points of our lives that we remember because our brains are operating at such a high level. And let's go back to the summer of '91, and I was dating this girl because I was misguided, I guess. But she had a really awesome yellow Jeep, and that's probably why. And one night she said, "We should have an adventure." I'm like, "I'm all for that, let's do it." And she said, "Let's go down to the Mississippi and we'll climb on the Trestle Bridge." And I'm like, "That sounds like fun." So we get down there on the parkway, And at that time, there was it wasn't even a road really, but you could see that cars had driven on it. There's a ramp that goes up, and then that crosses a little overpass, which is only big enough for maybe one car to pass under. So everything is overgrown. It's grass, and the sun has just set. We're full civil twilight at this point. And we walk up the ramp, and we're crossing the overpass when she grabs my arm and says, "Oh, look out." I look down, and there's this piece of twine strung about 6 inches off the ground with 2 pegs on either end. We walk a little bit further, and she goes, "Oh my God, there's another one. Another piece of twine. Are we painting this long grass?" So we step over that, and we walk a little bit further, and we can see the tire tracks going into this grove of trees. And then she says, "What is that?" Now remember, it's a little bit dark. And in between the tire tracks, in the middle of the road, is this enormous black rock. Why would anybody put a rock in the middle of a place where a car is going to drive? And as we sat there pondering that, the rock stood up. And that's when the bells went off. That's why there were tripwires, and it began to walk towards us in hood and full cape at a pace just slow enough not to seem to be running. We ran. We hurdled the things, and we got back to the Jeep, which I used to love, but now I hate it because there is no rolling up the windows in an open-air Jeep. We got away, clearly, because I'm here to tell the tale. But as I said, I don't believe in the devil, maybe, but there are people who do, who think he's awesome, and I don't like them. We were almost unwilling participants in some heinous ritual that I don't even want to think about. But back to the ghosts, I never believed in them because it always seemed that one person had a ghost story and said, "This happened to me," or the other person says, "Yes, when I was alone by myself." Well, where are the stories where everybody experienced it at the same time? Didn't think it could happen until I was working at a theater in St. Cloud called Pioneer Place on 5th, and in the front of that building, there was a gift shop where I worked in the afternoons, and one afternoon, one of the pieces of art that we sold, it was hanging up this staircase, 10 or 11 steps up on the wall, and it was enormous. All of a sudden, we heard this enormous crash. Customers in the store, and we all came out to find this painting nicely placed at the bottom of the stairs. It didn't clunk, clunk, and then crash. We just heard a single crash, as though somebody had taken it and just dropped it straight down. Broken glass underneath. We cleaned it up. But later that same day, in the evening, after whatever show was running that night, the owner, Dan Barth, who you'll see later tonight, we were sitting having a cocktail at the concession stand right around the corner from where that accident happened, when all of a sudden we hear sweeping. And I said, "Do you hear that?" He's like, "Yeah, I hear it. It's just our ghost." Really? That cavalier? They were so used to it, they just accepted it. There wasn't even a question any longer. And I was so excited that we both experienced it, because this would mean that it was real. That I actually got up and I went around the corner and said, "Thank you for cleaning up your mess, kind ghost." But that was amazing. That was the first time that 2 people experienced it, and it could be a real thing. But that's 12 or 13 years ago now. So I wonder, do I remember that? Is that proof, or do I just remember the last time I told this story? I don't know, but I remarked that when I was a child, I did see something. I was, I don't know, like I said, 3 or 4, maybe 5, and it was winter, and there was a woman who used to babysit me. We called her Auntie Mim. She wasn't a real relative, but she was awesome, and she collected frogs. Not real frogs, just tchotchkes, because otherwise. And she lived in this 4-unit brownstone in Ashby, and in the basement, it was wide open except for one corner. 1/4 of it was set aside for storage, and the rest of it was sort of the shape of an L. And you'd walk into the top part of the L, and in there you would find a washer, dryer, back to back in the center of that room. And as you made your way down, you would then take a hard left into an area where there were seats and magazines and some toys, maybe a bucket of broken crayons for kids to play with. And on this particular day, as I said, it was winter, and the light in winter coming through the window should be bright, white, stark, and harsh in the afternoon. But this time it was, in the summer when we get the tornado warnings and everything turns that sickening green, it was like that. And I played for a little while, and then, of course, at that age, now I gotta pee. So I made my way back across the bottom part of the L and turned into the long section of the L, when then there was another kid in the room. And I turned and looked across the washers and the dryer, and there he was, about my height. Except he didn't have a face, or And the one thing I knew immediately that is wrong. That shouldn't be there. And I can't explain exactly what it looks like. The best I can get is when you stare at the sun and then you look away or close your eyes, that retina burn that you get, there's no accurate way to draw the shape of what that is. There's no way to color that. That's what it was like staring at something directly, but still it is only as vague as something you would find in the periphery. And I was terrified. It was a kid my age, but the thing is, it wasn't a kid, and I know this because when I got upstairs, the thing that I said was, "There's a man in the basement." And we went back downstairs, and of course now the light is white. And it's gone. It's not there. And I don't believe in ghosts, but I do believe that that was there, and I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a ghost. It could have been an alien. Sometimes I think maybe there are parts of science that we haven't discovered yet. That was there. I know that it was there. It was wrong. It was sentient. It was aware of me being aware of it. So, and I'll tell you this. 2 nights ago when I was telling this story, I discovered it right here in this stool, that's why I hate that nursery rhyme so bad. And you'll know it probably. Last night I saw upon the stair a little man who wasn't there. He wasn't there again today. Oh, how I wish he'd go away. It's the mind of a child. They're awesome. But so I will leave you with this. The next time you happen to be reading a bedtime story to a child and they express some fear of what's under the bed or that thing in the closet, go ahead and put that book down, pick up that kid, walk out of the room and close the door, and please find another place to sleep. Because there's a very, very good chance that kid is right. Thank you.